Welcome to Hatch. This is our new podcast with startups in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We are looking for new visionaries and disruptors in the tech space, in the fashion space, in the automotive space, in the biotech space. We want to know about startups. And today we're at the Venture Cafe, 1 Broadway. It's a place where over 300 people come on Thursday nights to network and groove and schmooze. And they've given us a quiet little corner to try and have a quiet podcast with a startup that we find interesting each week. Our first guest is Maya. Maya Heyman is with Common Angels. She's an angel investor. She's here in the building. We have over 700 startups, I'm told, inside the Cambridge Innovation Center. And so we thought she'd be the perfect person to start off with to talk about startups and what's happening in Cambridge. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being our first guest.
Absolutely.
I think what most startups want to know is, when should they come to you? Do they only need a business plan, or do they need to have a revenue model and some revenue coming in already?
I think they can come at any time, right? Most investors want to be accessible, want to be open. We certainly do office hours here at the Venture Cafe so that we can be accessible. And so what you're doing is you're building a relationship with an investor. And so, is there a right time, a wrong time? I don't think so. It's begin a dialogue, get feedback, just like you will do with your business. You're going to iterate. Similarly, with an investor, start a dialogue, even if it's just to seek advice and get feedback, and you're not ready to pitch. That's a brilliant time. I often say the best time to raise money is when you're not.
Why is that?
Because you can have the conversation be consultative and interactive, and you're not asking necessarily for the money right then and there. You can get feedback, and oftentimes investors have seen hundreds or thousands of companies, depending on how long they've been doing it, and they may have a thing or two that will help the entrepreneur with the very business that they're trying to build. So start the dialogue early.
Now, you've been in this business for a while. Can you tell us a little bit about your trajectory as an investor and what Common Angels is doing today that's different?
Two stories. So my story is a circuitous, what a long, strange trip it's been, right?
Right.
Which is probably less interesting than Common Angels. But very quickly I've spent my whole career either investing in or financing technology companies. 10 years in Silicon Valley, moved back here 12 years ago. And so I started out as a technology banker, investment banker, a venture capitalist at Bank Boston Ventures, and then spent some time as a limited partner selecting venture firms and private equity firms. And along the way, I started doing angel investing.
Just on your own, with your own checkbook, cutting your own checks?
Just on my own. What I was doing at the time, I was managing Bank Boston Ventures portfolio within B of A, but B of A was not making new investments anymore. So I had the idea of starting on my own and taking all the learning that I had and applying it for my own investing benefit, and they were okay with that, and so that's how I started to get into doing personal investing.
How did that go for you?
Oh, well, I'm still doing it, and now I'm doing right. So I started. My first personal investment was in 2006, and
any wins you want to share with us?
Sure. CardStar was bought by Constant Contact. Ironwood Pharmaceuticals went public. Inquira was bought by Oracle. Doc Tracker was bought by Intralink.
Okay. So I've done. You've got it. So what's your spidey sense with Common Angels? What is it that you've figured out?
Yeah. So let me weave that into. So that's how I got involved with Common Angels. Is I knew it's good to have a network. I knew I'm only one person, and to have my network amplified by peers in the industry. So that's why I joined Common Angels. And over the years, it's a fabulous spot for entrepreneurs to come, because not only is it capital, but it's connections. Our investors are former entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs who have started, built, and sold their own companies. So they've been in the shoes, they've sat in the seat of the entrepreneur once, twice, sometimes 3 times.
They know what they're doing.
And so it's a very unique model of capital and experienced entrepreneurs themselves. And the more I got involved with the group, the more I got involved with the group, and eventually joined the board and was chairman of the board, and was really seeing an opportunity for us to shift our own model to be more accessible to the entrepreneur. And I think about it as sort of productizing what the entrepreneur wants. Again, they want they want and need growth capital and those connections. And that's what we've done by shifting Common Angels to a fund. So we are a seed fund. We just closed on almost 27 million, so 26.5 million.
Congratulations.
Thank you, in capital. And but yet that capital comes from those very angel investors that I just mentioned, who have the experience, who have the networks, who are still in the industry. So we're marrying these two very important components of how to back and help startups in the community.
One of the worries for startups when they deal with angels, if there's a big group, is that there's going to be one angel that's just not into the group. It's sort of like Shark Tank. They're going to be voted off the island. Or that there's a slowdown because there are so many people that have to come together on this. How is Common Angels doing this differently?
Yeah, I love that question. So that's exactly why we transformed to a fund. So there's one large check that comes from our fund. There may be a handful of individuals who invest alongside the fund, but the decision-making process is much more streamlined because there are 2 general partners who are managing the fund, but yet we get to tap into that network I just described. That they have the domain expertise. And you know how you started, we're looking at, consumers, fashion, automotive. Well, software touches every single industry out there, and we focus on software investments. So as you were introducing, I was thinking, yep, we've seen, every vertical you can name. Real estate, right? There's a tremendous amount of innovation on how software is being used for occupancy rates, heating and cooling systems, HVAC systems. So
other than
it touches
software,
everything.
do you have another expertise that you really have the strength in, and you have investors that are seriously interested in a certain vertical? Well,
I'll answer it the same way. So software touches everything. So we have folks who come out of healthcare IT, folks who have come out of fintech, financial services technology, workflow process. So it really we just invested in a company that's doing methane gas optimization. There's a hardware component, but it's loci controls, and they are helping landfills extract more methane gas out of a landfill. And sadly, trash is a huge industry in the U.S., right? But converting that trash into energy and enabling the cogen power plants that are right next to the landfills extract more methane gas while not disrupting the anaerobic process. That's a software. That's software. So,
tell me, where are most of the investments? Are they Cambridge-based? Is Cambridge the hub, or is it all around the U.S. for you?
It's greater Boston area predominantly, but we will also invest. We define it now as sort of the Northeast. We have 4 investments in New York. We have 2 investments in Canada. And what the common theme is following an entrepreneur whom we know well, who we've either backed before, or one of our own investors, maybe that person was their deputy, and the quality of the entrepreneur is something that's known to us, or a board member, one of our investors is going on the board. So a company in Ottawa, one of our own investors is on the board. He's an investor we know well. We backed him actually in a prior company.
You believe in him and you follow. Okay, let's say I'm the new kid. I don't have any of these contacts. I don't know the person on your board. You haven't invested in me before. That infamous pitch.
Yeah.
What do they say to you, and how much time do you really have?
Yeah. How do you crack the code?
How do you crack that code with that pitch?
Yeah. I actually think so. The pitch is that's the ends. It's the means to the end. So it's what's wonderful about the transparency today of LinkedIn, social networks. You can find people who know. So the best way in is to find people who know you, who know how good you are, who will vouch for you, pick up the phone, send the email, and say, you must talk with so-and-so. So the warm introduction.
That really helps for you to pay attention.
For any investor, right? There is so much that if someone is coming in who's well recommended, that's how that person will bubble to the top.
So they're in the room with you. They've got how many seconds? What are you looking for?
Oh, this is always a hard one to answer.
This is all the entrepreneurs thinking about. They're like, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
How many seconds do I have?
So I often give the advice that and I and many investors give this advice. It's people back people. So it's the person, it's the team who will deliver, who will execute. So why is it that you, the entrepreneur, why are you the best person on the planet or in this country to do what you're doing?
Software for methane gas.
Right. And so the two co-founders, they are. I mean, they have such deep domain expertise that they were the ones. And so I think entrepreneurs should start with what is it about them or their industry depth? What did they do prior to this company where they really understood the problem that they're trying to solve or the opportunity that's in front of them? And that's usually the hook, that they were at a company and they kept saying, we need to develop this product, and the larger company couldn't allocate the resources or put it on the roadmap. So they thought the opportunity was so compelling that they left and started their own company, for instance.
Let's pay attention to the investors as well, because there are a lot of people out there. We have this aging community. They've had a wonderful ride. If you were a baby boomer, you've gone through some pretty good markets. You own a lot of real estate. You're looking to do investments. How do you get to be an investor with Common Angel?
There are lots of, so as an individual, right?
This is a Gen Xer speaking to you, saying, these baby boomers, they've had a pretty good time. Exactly, yeah. Where's their money, and how did we get it out there for the entrepreneur?
Right. Again, it's those connections. If you can find a way to get to an individual, and whether it's a fund or whether it's an individual that you're looking to get capital from, what's the connection? So it's thinking about who's the right fit for you. So even individual angels, some will be the right fit, some won't. Why are they the right fit? Well, they're the right fit because they came out of the same industry or the same vertical, or they sat in the customer's seat and that angel felt the customer's pain point, and they see this solution and they say, oh, I would have bought this. So it's the what's the compelling reason that an angel will invest with you? And it's usually because they the angel have some strong connection, some understanding of what the entrepreneur is solving.
Do you have people calling you saying, I want to write a check for $1 million, $5 million, and be one of your investors?
So in transforming, what we shifted from was an organization where folks sort of wrote individual checks, and we shifted to pooling the capital. So we have a fund, and again, this is really important for us. We invest in software. Software is pretty competitive, and our thinking was, what makes it easier for the entrepreneur to access us and get our capital? And it's this fund model. So we're a little bit.
But you're still going to private investors. You're not going to another fund to fund you.
Correct. That's what's unique about the model, is that our funds come from individuals, but we've pooled the capital so that we're much easier to interface with for an entrepreneur.
For an entrepreneur, it's faster.
It's faster. It's quick. It's very clear.
What's your turnaround?
So it can vary from a couple of weeks to a couple of months. It's how, and what drives the varying degree is how formulated the business is. You know, how many answers the entrepreneur already has because they've been in market with a small beta test, and there's a lot of things that we can understand quickly, or you know, and then you know how quickly we can assess the competitive situation, or
get
maybe
they've done
yeah, right. Maybe they've done that themselves and can help us get up to speed.
So you see a lot, and so I know that many of the interviews we'll be doing will be with the entrepreneurs themselves. So I'd like to take a chance to have you share with us, if you would, the hottest areas that you're watching right now.
You know, so that's so wide open. I think what's
we'll date it, okay? We'll say today is November the 13th, 2014.
Yeah.
What are the hottest ones on this date?
This may not be what you're looking for, but we, having done this for 20 years, chasing the hottest things, you know, they cycle. So I tend to answer that question with, well, who's solving really hard to solve problems in very defensible ways. So it's not, you know, I mean, you know, like social, mobile, local, right? I mean, it just cycles.
How about climate change? Are you watching that one at all?
Not really, but that doesn't mean that there's not compelling opportunity. It's
drug discovery.
So life sciences is an area where we don't invest. Again, we just don't have the domain expertise. We're software, so therapeutics, life sciences, drug discovery, that's a fascinating, and Boston is fantastic in that area. We just don't focus there because we're all software geeks.
Do you want to send the biotech entrepreneurs listening right now to someone, to a friend, to another shop?
Oh, they're fabulous. I mean, Boston has fabulous VCs in life sciences.
How about angels?
And there are angels I'm not so familiar with. There's mass medical angels, but I mean the VCs that do therapeutics. I mean, there's Lightstone, there's Bessemer, there's Atlas. I mean, Boston has it's a fabulous community for life sciences.
Boston is known for being a city for finance, a city for funding,
yeah,
much like San Francisco and Palo Alto. Do you all know each other?
Within Boston?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I can compare both coasts, and what's really fun for me personally is that Boston is really, I said this to Tim Rowe recently, it's like Boston is feeling like Palo Alto felt to me 12 years ago when I was there. I can walk out in Kendall Square and literally run into people and you know, almost you're like, I know I owe you a voicemail, or I'll get back to you on that email. So Boston is, what's fabulous in Kendall Square and Cambridge and even Boston and Innovation District there, it's, the concentration is a really good thing because
get things done.
You get things done. It's much more easier for ideas to flow, for connections to be made, for relationships to be built. So I do think people really do. There's a fabulous collaborative community here in tech, software, mobile, in life sciences, and I'm really excited for Boston to. You know, there's just so much energy.
You can feel the energy. You can definitely, in the last couple of years,
you
can really feel
the ecosystem, it's like, come on, we can do this.
Happening. Okay, so we're going to have a little fun at the end of every interview, because we like to do that on the editorial.com when we do our long format interviews with established visionaries and change agents, which you kind of cross both. You can cross-pollinate. But we want to have a little fun with the startups, and so we're going to ask you a little bit of a pop question. You have a multiple choice, and we would like to know if you're ready.
Absolutely.
To which city did Mark Zuckerberg donate $100 million for public schools? A, New York, B, San Francisco, C, Newark. A, New York.
Yeah, I
B,
think
San
I read,
Francisco.
I don't think it was
C,
San
Newark.
Francisco.
You can call a friend in the audience if you
Call a
want.
friend.
Ask the audience.
It was Newark.
It was
Yeah,
Newark.
Newark, yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
In September 2010,
Thank you.
Mark Zuckerberg gave $100 million to the public school board of Newark, a wonderful social leadership move. We're going to try and focus on those on some of our interviews.
Fabulous.
His wife and he just gave another $120 million to San Francisco public schools. And that is what Hatch is going to be all about. We're going to try and talk to the people who are making things happen here in Cambridge, startups, social leadership, investors who are needed to make these entrepreneurs have a chance to fly. My name is Heidi Legg. I am the founder of the editorial.com. This is Hatch Adventure Cafe at the Cambridge Innovation Center. Thanks for listening.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
I love the
Thank
mission.
you so much.
Yeah.
You were good.
That was great.
All right, you guys.